Welcome to this explainer. So, what actually happens when Earth's mightiest heroes come face to face with a colossal monster they literally cannot defeat? You know, we're so used to seeing the Avengers assemble to take down rogue AI, alien armadas, or superpowered individuals. But today, we're breaking down a scenario that completely throws out their entire tactical playbook. This is a look at what happens when heroes are stripped of their invincibility and forced to rely on pure, desperate improvisation.
Just picture this for a second. You're standing on a rooftop with a clear view of New York Harbor. The water doesn't just ripple, it's boiling. And by the time the first massive dorsal spike even breaks the surface, the window for a clean waterfront evacuation is just gone. I mean, the displacement of the water alone is enough to completely capsize boats. We aren't dealing with some covert invasion here. We are dealing with an absolute cataclysm.
Which brings us to Section 1, a threat beyond measure.
The sheer scale of this beast is just staggering. Normally, the team is handling human-sized threats, right? City-level villains who can be punched, blasted, or outsmarted. But this new entity? It literally makes the Chrysler Building look small. The source material describes its arrival not with the typical roar, but with a sound that's deeper, older, kind of like the Earth itself groaning under the weight of something ancient waking up. This isn't a typical enemy. It's a walking, natural disaster. So what happens to standard tactics? Let's look at Section 2, when brute force fails. Unsurprisingly, the initial offensive is a total disaster. Iron Man is airborne instantly, sure, but Jarvis's impact calculations fail completely. There's just nothing in Stark's databases that accounts for a living creature of this size. A full repulsor barrage directly at the creature's flank barely leaves a scorch mark on scales that are thicker than tank armor. Then Thor arrives, driving Mjolnir into the creature's shoulder with the force of a falling star, and the creature reacts like a bear swatting a wasp. And the Hulk? He launches himself at its leg with bone-shaking force, only to get casually backhanded through 11 floors of an office building. Usually, an angrier Hulk is a huge asset, but here, he's suddenly just a bigger problem rocketing toward unevacuated civilians. Meanwhile, the collateral damage on the ground is just intense. Captain America is pushed to his absolute physical limit just trying to keep panicked civilians alive. The creature's massive tail is sweeping through city blocks like they're made of cardboard. Cap actually watches a bus get tossed 30 feet into the air and has to catch it mid-fall. He uses nothing but sheer will and a shield brace, taking an impact that by all rights should have killed him just to set it down intact. The sheer physical toll on the ground heroes is absolutely staggering. Clearly, they need a pivot. Moving into Section 3, shifting the strategy. It's Natasha who cuts through the chaos with this brilliant realization. As she puts it, they can't win by hitting it harder. She and Hawkeye abandon direct combat entirely, which is a fascinating, desperate tactical pivot. Instead of firing useless weapons, they focus with laser precision on managing civilian-safe corridors, redirecting traffic, and analyzing the battlefield while literal explosions rain down around them. Brute force is a losing game. They desperately need intelligence. And because they bought him that time, Tony's scanners finally catch a break. He identifies a critical vulnerability. He notices this bioluminescence, specifically these blue glowing plates running along the creature's spine that pulse and intensify right before it roars. It's a massive energy buildup. Stark calculates that if they can feed that buildup enough disruption at the exact right moment, they might actually get the creature's attention in a way that matters. It's their first and frankly only real tactical advantage. Now they have to execute this heavily improvised plan. That brings us to Section 4, the final coordinated push. Despite the absolute chaos, their division of labor becomes incredibly clear. They break into 3 rapid-fire roles. First, the distraction. Iron Man and Thor have to draw the creature's focus upward and outward, keeping its eyes away from the evacuation zones. Then, the muscle. Hulk and Captain America are tasked with physically herding this Titan back toward the harbor using nothing but brute stubbornness. And finally, the evacuation. Widow and Hawkeye keeping the ground clear of innocent bystanders. It's clumsy, it's incredibly dangerous, and it's being shouted over comms between near misses, but hey, it's a plan. And the execution? It was a perfect 1-2-3 combination. Let's walk through it. Step 1, just as the creature charges a devastating energy blast, Iron Man gets close enough to fire directly into one of those glowing spinal plates. This disruption interrupts the energy buildup, causing a violent, disoriented reaction. Step 2, Thor immediately capitalizes. He hits the stumbling Titan with a full-force strike, redirecting its massive momentum toward the open water. And Step 3, Hulk slams both fists into the creature's flank with everything he has left, while Captain America calls the final coordinated shove. Exhausted and battered, they force the massive creature backward, step by step, until the water finally swallows it whole.
But what happens after the water settles? Let's look at Section 5. Survival is not victory.
See, Earth's mightiest heroes didn't win in the traditional sense. They merely survived something that was way too big to defeat. Tony, his voice completely hoarse, admits they didn't beat it, they just convinced it to leave. And Steve Rogers, looking around at a wrecked New York skyline and a team barely able to stand, simply notes that for today, that's enough. They are painfully aware of how close they came to total annihilation. Because sometimes survival looks absolutely nothing like victory.
Which leaves us with a pretty haunting final question about the true limits of power. They pushed the behemoth back today, sure, but it's still out there. Could the Avengers, or really any of us, when faced with an overwhelming force of nature, ever truly stop it for good? Or are we just delaying the inevitable? Keep that in mind as you think about the limits of brute force and the tactics we covered today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what even the mightiest can handle.